You are live. Okay, wonderful. Hi, everyone. My name's Sophie. I work with Designing Schools, and this is the wonderful Tara Menghini. She is featured in Dr. Sabba's new book, Designing Schools, How Design Thinking Makes You Irreplaceable in a World with AI. And she is just doing such incredible stuff within her school and her district. So we just wanted to kind of interview her and learn more about her journey as an educator and everything that she's been leading. So welcome, Tara. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is a real honor. I mean, it was amazing to be part of the book process, and I mean, I love talking about what I do, so I'll take any opportunity to do it.
Fantastic. How long have you been an educator for?
My first year in education was in 1999. So
Oh my
my
gosh.
students always like to tell me I'm from the 1900s, and I am, apparently. So yeah, just about 25 years. I think this is actually my 25th
Oh my
year since I
goodness.
became an educator. Took a couple of years off, had 3 kids in 3 years, so took a couple of years off to do that. But
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
been in it for a while.
Wow. Fantastic. And you're based in Scottsdale or Phoenix or
I'm actually in Chandler, Arizona.
oh, in Chandler.
I started in Scottsdale and have also worked in Colorado briefly when we lived up there. And now I'm in the Chandler School District, and I've been here for, I don't know, 13, 14 years, something like that.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome. Wow. Okay. And at what grade did you taught kindergarten? Am I mistaken? Or is that
No, never as a
oh,
classroom teacher. They
okay.
are a whole special breed that my goodness. I teach kindergartners for 40 minutes a day now. Yeah,
Oh,
but when I was a classroom teacher, I taught second, third, fourth, mainly those 3 grades. I kind of fluctuated between. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Cool. Wow.
and I
Even yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and I was teaching second before I got this current job. Yeah, had been teaching second for several
Oh,
years.
fantastic. What was your favorite grade to teach?
Definitely second. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, they're just like perfect little people. They're
Aw.
capable, but they're sweet, and you get lots of hugs and hear great stories, and it's just wonderful.
Aw.
But I love all the grades, and I love teaching kindergarten. I just don't think I could do it all day.
No, I know. I'm the same way. I taught middle school, so I'm just like kindergarten. Wow, those are early years teachers, superheroes. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely. But I think middle school teachers are too.
True, true. Everything's got their unique situation for sure. Awesome. And so what is your job now? What are you teaching now?
Yeah, so this is my 4th year. I teach K through 6, so I see all grade levels in a day, and I teach computer science, educational technology at a public gifted academy.
Computer science and educational technology at a okay. And was that the same school that you were taught second at or a different school?
No, I changed schools. I
Okay.
taught mostly in the mainstream classroom throughout my career. I did have a couple of years of gifted in there, but joining the Gifted Academy was a whole new ball game for me. I had a
Wow.
former principal who was leading the school, and she had faith in me that I could do it, and whole new job, a whole new population of kids, and yeah, it was a leap, but it was really fun, and it
Wow.
really, really paid off because I love it so much. Yeah.
Yay. And when did you make that transition? Was that last year or the year before?
No,
Oh,
this is my 4th year, so it was
fourth year. Okay.
2021. Yeah, 2021
Oh,
I made
wow.
the switch.
Was that during COVID?
It was just after. We were
Oh,
just coming
okay.
back. Yes, just
Okay.
coming back. Still masked, but we were in person that year, that full year. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And so 4 years doing that. That's awesome. And so did you have like a technology, computer science background before this job or?
No, not at all. I
I
thought
knew the
that
answer, but I want to hear.
yes,
I want to
I
hear the story.
know. I thought that my friend and former principal, I thought she was crazy. Like even when she was like walking me around the school, because she kind of called and said, "Hey, we've got this position and you'd be great for it." And I was like, okay, like, I don't know how to code and I've never built a robot or, are you sure? And she said, actually, you need to come and see what we do because our school is set up so different. And she said, you come and look at us. And if you like what we do, you've got the job. And I was like, okay. And as she was walking me around, she was introducing me to people as, this is our potential new technology teacher. And I'm like, oh, I feel like such an imposter. I have no, like I know something about technology. It was crazy. But I loved what I saw. I had never seen a school run that way. And I was super excited about it. And I was on board. And so I was like, sure, if you think I can do it. She knew me. She had seen me teach. We'd known each other for years. And she's like, you have what our gifted kids need. So she wasn't so concerned about the subject matter as she was about the social emotional guidance that she knew that I would bring. And I have a gifted child myself. And so she knew that I knew gifted kids and, and kind of just, teaching. And so I'm glad she had faith in me because it's been the greatest thing that I've done in my career.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I think that's just like such a testament to like people always think like, oh, I can't teach math or I can't teach computers or I can't teach blah, blah, blah. Like I don't have that subject matter expertise, but it's just a testament to like how important the relationships and your actual human skills are in any job, but especially teaching, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, people say you don't know what you don't know. I knew what I didn't know, but I'm still shocked when I look back on the first year and like how I kind of muddled through it. I'm like, wow, I like crazy. Like it was a big learning curve.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when you're like learning the whole curriculum, were you given like time to do that or are you kind of just like thrown into the deep end or?
Yeah, I had the curriculum. It was the Arizona Computer Science Standards are, what I follow.
Yep.
And so, I had that to guide me.
Hmm.
And then luckily at the time, the assistant principal at my school was the former technology teacher. And so my basically, is it predecessor? Yeah. She was on
Yeah.
campus. And so
Oh, God.
I mean, like she was a huge resource to me my first year. She's now my principal, the former principal who hired me, retired.
Okay.
But she is amazing, and thank goodness was there and helped pave the way for me and kind of got me, on my feet that first couple of years. But also like left me with cabinets full of things that it was. I didn't even get to all of it my first year. Like by the time I was busy being a principal, I was like, wait, I don't even know how half this stuff works still. And so, yeah, it's kind of been a process of just learning
Yeah,
as you go.
for sure, for sure. And I bet like I don't know, I feel like especially with computer science, like is stuff changing a lot with AI or not really? I guess the standards remain the same, but
Yeah, what's funny about that is that when I first started really advocating for teachers to learn about AI and starting to question like the people in my district who are above me about what are we doing about I was like ready to go and they were like hold on, which is now a very common theme, but at the time I'm like, what are we waiting for? And one of the leaders told me at one point, for now, just stick to the standards. And that actually got me really like indignant. I was like, what do you mean stick to the standards? And so I went and
yeah.
like, I went through the standards, and the standards for computer science in Arizona have been updated. They were updated in 2018, the last time they were updated.
Okay.
So I got in touch with the Department of Education and was like, why are our standards from 2018? Do you know how like outdated the standards from 2018? And there's a fantastic contact that I have at the Department of Education who I absolutely love and respect. And she called me and we had this great conversation, and she was like, the standards are, and we kind of went through them together. She's like, future ready skills encompass AI. Like AI is in the standards because technology changes so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It would be impossible to update the standards as quickly as technology moves. And so the standards are actually set out to be a general guideline. And that was helpful to me. And also then soon after, the Arizona state guidance, the AI in education guidance document was sent to me. I was asked to be a reviewer on it, which was also great because I was able to dive in and really look at it, very, very deeply, because I wanted to take honor very seriously. And our guidance links to the state standards as well, which I absolutely loved, because then I had a way to go back to my leadership and say, here it is, this is it. Like, I actually am sticking to the standards. And so I can teach about AI. And so I added a lot of AI literacy last year, and even more so this year with media literacy and, that future ready skills. There's a ton of stuff that fits in there.
Seriously, absolutely. And like, I totally resonate with that, because before I learned like about design thinking and how like you can actually like frame that as, okay, this is a problem, but maybe there are other routes that I can actually integrate AI into this outdated curriculum. Maybe it isn't so outdated, or how can I like finesse this to be more relevant and engaging for my students. I was like, okay, well, if it doesn't say AI in the standards, well, I can't teach it. But I love how you kind of had that thought process. Have you always been like, I know you took Dr. Sabba's boot camp, like the AI boot camp. Yeah. Were you versed in design thinking before that, or was that a new methodology for you?
So my school is our entire kind of culture revolves around design thinking, project based learning, team teaching. Teachers at my school all teach in teams. We have walls that are removable, and we teach in a lot of communities. It's really done so beautifully. And I was introduced to design thinking joining this school. But when Sabba, I first encountered Sabba at the 2020 ISTE conference in Philadelphia this summer. And I say that I went to her session despite the fact that AI was a part of the title, because the other part of the title was design thinking. And I was really looking to learn and do a deep dive into like design thinking and how I could use it in my classroom. And I didn't understand AI at all. And it was everywhere already. And I was like, what is this AI stuff? Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. I'll just go to this one because it says design thinking. And Sabba literally in that session made me understand how AI fits with design thinking. And I left there. I think I came home and watched her. I found it, like the recording, and I watched it until I had it like memorized, because I'm like, I'm going back to school and telling everybody about AI because it fits so beautifully in what we do anyway at our school. And luckily, my principal gives me that freedom to do that. And so I was talking about Sabba immediately when we got back to school that next fall, and then I ended up getting a hold of her and doing her boot camp and meeting her, and then it all just kind of rolled from there.
That is so awesome. Okay, that's so cool that your school actually has a design thinking approach. And now I know you more as like, because I met you through Sabba and LinkedIn and everything, and I know you more as like super AI savvy, like amazing computer science teacher, but it all stemmed from a design thinking. Like you only went to that lesson or that workshop, right? Or the keynote or whatever it was, because it was design thinking. But I know, like I never made the connection between the two before meeting Sabba too, but it is really very seamless in how they interplay with each other.
Yeah. And I feel so strongly that kids, and as young as possible, need to get these kind of the future ready skills that they're going to need to interact with AI, because at the young age that I teach, I don't use AI in my classroom with kids, obviously.
No.
And so I think I got to a point where I was like, I felt the need to bring these skills to kids. And the way that Sabba intertwines design thinking with future ready skills and AI and everything together, it just all clicked. It was like the neurons in my brain just couldn't stop firing. I was like, oh my gosh, I have my purpose. Like I found it. Here it is.
Yeah.
And I have not stopped. Like the amount of like spark that moment brought me, it just has not stopped since.
That's awesome. You said spark, and I'm like, No pun intended. If you took
I
the
know
boot camp,
exactly.
you know.
It's
Oh,
true.
that's
It's very fitting.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously. Oh, that is so cool. Wow. What would you say is the most important future ready skill that you are teaching your little ones? Like that it translates to an AI world and design thinking. Like what is something you like to kind of encompass in your lessons or projects that you do with them?
Yeah. I think that the ability to dive into a problem without worrying about if you're going to make a mistake is so important.
Yeah.
And we practice that a lot in pretty much any project that we do. And I model it by making a lot of it. I am a big diver inner. And so I decided that really before even this whole thing happened with design thinking and everything, just I thought to myself, listen, I'm, an old lady in terms of these kids, right? Like these kids are like, if I can go in there and say, hey guys, I'm old and I'm here to learn and I don't know everything, but we're going to learn together, that I felt like that was a great approach to technology, because
Totally.
technology is always going to change. It's never going to be whatever and so I told them on the first day, I said, here I am. Um, the technology I teach you today is probably going to be gone in 5 years. And so how can I teach you the mindset around tackling the technology and the way that it's evolved over time? And especially now that I do understand design thinking so well, is just let's make it into we're going to dive into this problem. We're going to work together. We almost always work in some kind of a group, either a partnership or a small group where kids have to communicate with each other. They have to think about problems, think about solving problems, come up with solutions, agree on solutions, and then test out their solutions. And, that whole process happens. And gifted kids especially, but I think it's probably true for all kids, they don't like for their idea not to be done. Like they have a hard time kind of letting go of the first idea that comes to them. And so so they work on that. They work on just that communication and that collaboration that happens when you get into a group. So I don't know if I answered that like specifically, but it's really just being able to take risks, and especially in front of other people. And and it's hard as a teacher. This is not something as a second grade, third grade teacher that I was comfortable with, because I want to see success. I want to see kids like, and it's still awesome when they succeed. But I've gotten to the point with projects where I'll remind myself, and now I have an amazing teaching partner, which is new this year and has made everything 1,000 times better. And I will often say to her when we're watching kids with these projects, and some of them are just like, oh, wow, that's really good. And I always have to whisper to her, it's not the end result. It's the process. Let's just focus on the process.
Trust in the process.
We know parents are coming to see, and they know they've been working on it. And it's like, we are not doing the work. We're stepping back. We are letting them fail. It's terrible. Like sometimes it's really uncomfortable. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's so like amazing that you model that. And I know the feeling for sure where it's like, should I? And I noticed that. I'll just recap the last question I asked, but I just love how you said like risk taking, but the whole design thinking process and the project based process, like you have collaboration, you have problem solving, you have like interpersonal interactions, you have like flexibility, adaptability. Someone doesn't like your idea, okay, you can't go and you can cry about it, but we gotta learn and we gotta adapt, right?
There's
and
crying.
These are
there is crying.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, of course. We all cry sometimes. But it's just so crazy that I don't know if you saw, but the World Economic Forum just released top skills for 2025 that workplaces are looking for. What's up there? Adaptability, collaboration, problem solving, leadership, and social influence. I'm like, wow, this is such a cool method because this teaches kids that from K to 6. Like, you wouldn't think, but that's so fascinating.
Imagine if a kindergartner, practices this, from kindergarten, then, the hope is that it becomes like, well, okay, no big deal. It's part of the process.
Yeah,
Let's move on,
exactly.
And I see that with
Exactly.
everything when it comes to future ready skills. Should you teach
Mhm.
kindergartners about media literacy? Absolutely. There are age appropriate ways to start to talk to kids about, does this look real? Are you sure? How does it look
Yeah.
real? How does it not look real? Would you believe that? Like
Yeah.
like, really, would it really happen? And we do case scenarios all the time, where
Oh,
I bring
wow.
in, just pictures that I see, and we talk through them. And there are a lot of ways to introduce media literacy, bias, and that kind of thing to the youngest learners.
100%, because these learners are like, there's very low chance that these students aren't exposed to some sort of technology in their life, right? Like they probably watch their pad or iPad or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I love that. And your modeling of risk taking is as a teacher, because maybe not all teachers would be comfortable doing that at a young age or whatever. So
Yeah.
that is so powerful. Just before, I want to ask about your no, Schools of the Future project.
Yeah.
That was sixth graders.
We did that with our sixth graders. Yeah. And
Okay.
that was fully inspired by the book, because I was like, I so want to see schools change. I know in our like area, what do we call it? I don't know. Our circle.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Everybody wants to see
Yes.
schools look different, right? And
Yes.
and
Yes.
so we, inspired by the book and inspired by the conversations that I had over the summer before this school year started, I just thought, what would kids want if they could design like the perfect school and learn in the way that they felt the most comfortable and the most empowered? What would it look like? And so it was a long process. We interviewed, we found this guy, and it was so funny because he was probably, I don't know, in his 70s maybe. He had been building schools for a really long time. It was just a cold call to an architecture firm, and he was like, okay, I'll talk to sixth graders, but they'll probably find me totally uninteresting. And we had a Zoom call with him, and the kids were like mind blown at some of it, because he had such a vast history. We got this whole history lesson on how schools were built and why they were built this way in the 70s and how they were built and why in the 80s. And like, he could look just from the Zoom call in our classroom, he could tell what year our school was built. And he's like, oh, those walls, those are from the, the late 80s or whatever. I don't even remember what he said, but, and I should know what year my school was built. I don't, but it is very old.
No.
A lot of updating.
Yeah.
And so we started with empathy interviews. We interviewed people who design and build schools. We interviewed teachers and principals, and then we interviewed the kids, obviously, and some of those were polls and some were interviews. And then we took what we knew and we did our goal. I teach, obviously in kind of the computer science, computational thinking realm. And then this year, we've added a new class, and she is in my suite of classrooms. We have a wall between us that comes down, and she does design thinking in a makerspace classroom. And so we're able to really bring to life things that I wasn't able to alone. And so we tried to really bring in computer science and design thinking and making. And so we built schools on a platform called CoSpaces and did like a digital design. And that was kind of in my area. And then we did a physical design in her area, in her makerspace. And then put them together. And it was fantastic. It required a lot of perseverance. Not all of the kids. There were kids that were like, I love this. When I'm done, I'm going to build a curriculum. And like, they could have worked on it for the whole entire year. And there were other kids that are like, are we done yet? And there were days where, yeah, are we done yet? Can you finish? We're ready to be done. Like, it was a lot. It was a big, long project, but it was really rewarding. Yeah.
Oh, that is that is so incredible. And I know in your LinkedIn post, like you talked about pivoting too, like each kid was doing a whole school, but then you're like, okay, maybe we got to pivot, and like some kids are going to do this department or this
Yeah.
part or whatever.
Yeah. And that didn't
Yeah,
come, I think that's something that is, I love the partnership. Like teaching can be really isolated if it's done in
totally.
a traditional classroom.
Yes.
When I taught in my former school, I was in my second grade classroom, and I didn't see anybody all day unless I peeked into my next door neighbor's classroom and said hello, or asked her if she could watch my class while I use the restroom or whatever. Having a partner to have another set of eyes on what's happening, and like, what do you think about this student? Why aren't they producing? What would ignite them to continue? We didn't want to just pardon kids who were like over it and say like, fine, go, do whatever, or punish them and say,
Right.
So we tried to look for a really productive other way. And so we had them develop a school mascot, or some people just wanted to make a slideshow and be the presenter of the the ideas, because they loved the idea stage but they were over the actual building stage. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a partner. And so I've thought a lot about partnerships and how much better it makes me to have my teaching partner. And then I think about people who are in traditional schools, which of course we hope ideally will change, but everybody has an AI partner now. So
I was gonna say,
so anybody, like, if there are people that listen to this and say, well, great, you're lucky you have a partner, and I am totally lucky, but everybody has a partner, and there's no better use of AI, I think, than as a thought partner, as just an interactive, what am I doing? Here's the situation. It might require a little more work, although with the new camera thing, maybe not.
Just go like this. Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, but thinking about that in that way, like, what might I be missing? What are some strategies that I'm not thinking of, or how else can I engage a student? And it's like you have that sitting there waiting for you, and it just needs to be known that, like, you're not alone. And I know Dr. Sabba says that a lot. Like, you are not alone. You have these AI teammates. And I know same thing. Like, my last 2 years teaching, I had a teaching partner, and just night and day. And the whole experience, but for me, but also my students, like, it was just really like really game changing for sure. But that can be everyone's reality too. Of course, like, you have to, with nuance. Of course, it's an AI tool. It's not an actual person that you can give a hug, but we can take a step forward with that. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that it was so nice to meet you. For those of you watching, I was so excited. Sabba and I are actually headed to Scottsdale tomorrow for a workshop. And so we are actually meeting up with Tara in person. So I can't believe that's already tomorrow. That's going to be so exciting. We're so excited to meet you.
I know. And
thank you so much.
Because I can talk to you forever. So I'm glad I get to see you again tomorrow.
I know. I'm like, oh, we have to end it. Like, we have to go. Oh, I'm like, oh. But yeah, I could talk to you all day. And we haven't met in person yet. So I'm so excited. Let's take a selfie. I'm going to take a selfie on my phone. Yay! Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much